Embassy will host a pre-departure orientation for 12 Namibian participants of the Mandela Washington Fellows and Fulbrighters in the United States. The prestigious fellowship, also referred to as Young African Leader Initiative, YALI, brings over 500 young leaders to the United States each year for leadership training, academic coursework and monitoring. And joining us now is Priscilla Hernandez, PR from the US Embassy, and YALI fellow Pujatura, Kaveterua, who will be sharing with us about this exciting program. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
All right, so how about basically, we did an intro earlier as well, and for anybody who might have had missed that, can you please give us a background on the program?
Yes, absolutely. I think Pujatura could actually elaborate on her experience as a fellow, but what we do, this is a really good time for us because we bring together all of the people, the scholars and the fellows who are going to the United States for a unique experience.
Yeah.
And we have people who have gone before come back and basically talk to them about the experience, expectations, fears, aspirations, what everybody wants to know.
Okay, as a student, could you then also just, jump in there and tell us a bit more?
First of all, apart from having an experience in the United States, it's going to be an excellent learning experience for, I think, any YALI participant. It's we're connected to about, for me, I'll say I'm connected to 499 other young African leaders doing the same thing as I am here in Namibia. Before it was like you're in one little corner, and now all of a sudden you're joined to other people as well in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa, which is a great experience.
That's a great experience. The fellowship, is one of the biggest opportunities, like we already mentioned, young Africans will ever receive to polish their leadership skills, But what does the fellowship entail, and what kind of activities are expected, from the participants?
That's a good question. One of the things that they will all get to do is meet with our president. They will share some experiences about what it's like to be a Namibian. I'll give you some examples. Some of the people who went last year, one young man, Tomas, from the north, met with Michelle Obama because he's doing girls' education. He's a principal, and she wanted to hear what he had to say. They also will do some volunteer work. They'll get mentoring. Some of them will intern with Microsoft and Coca-Cola and companies like that.
Okay. Puya, you'll be attending the fellowship for the first time.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you expecting?
First of all, I'm just expecting to gain more insight on, especially, the expertise of being in civic leadership, because I got into the civic leadership track. The most exciting part is where I'm placed. I'm placed at another organization called the Young Youth Empowerment Project in New Orleans. I'm looking forward to seeing how they are able to work with young children in New Orleans, because I also work with a lot of young children here in Windhoek. So it will be a good thing to weigh both cultures and whatever they do back in the States.
Right. And in terms of your experience, how do you think this experience will enhance your career? Remind the other young people as to why this program is what it is.
I think that's my favorite question, and it's also something that I've highlighted in my application, that, as a young African, I'm very passionate about what I do. I lacked a lot of, professional, the professional value to the work that we do. And looking at the syllabus that I received, YALI provides that academic aspect to civic leadership, because I can only speak for civic leadership. So I believe I'll gain a lot of insight in terms of how to even run a non-governmental organization, if you like, and that will be plowed back into the community once I return.
Nice, nice. Priscilla, how does Namibia, as a developing nation, basically, what do we gain from this participation of the youth?
Well, I think one of the things that will be very clear very quickly is what Americans think about a country like Namibia. And this is one of the things that we're going to be talking about this week with them. How much do people know? And as you know, President Obama, this is his flagship program. He fundamentally believes that the future of Africa is in its young people. And one of the things that becomes very clear is they learn from young Americans how they're leading their communities, as Pujatura said. How are they running NGOs for children? How are they doing the things that they're doing? And what might work for Namibia? The networking that they will get is just phenomenal.
And let's look at how some of the participants, for this year, let's look at some of the participants for this year's fellowship. Can you tell us more about the other participants as well?
Wow, we 9 in total going for the Young African Leadership Initiative. Everyone bringing a unique flavor to the table. We have some phenomenal businessmen inside, Henry Gafeni and Cosmos Shaduka. These guys, we look at them as future millionaires, and they say when they return, they have the potential of launching into the bigger business market that Namibia has to offer. I'll also refer to Chanel Fortin. I think she's with NAMDEP. NAMDEP, if I speak under correction there. She's very academic. I like YALI how it brings the creatives and the academics together and launch into something very big. Conversations that we're having is what can we do as YALI fellows together and not just as individuals in our own corner, even those that are in civic leadership, business and entrepreneurship and public management. Can we actually do something great? That's how big the minds are that are going on YALI as well.
Okay. Also, tell us about the pre-departure orientation. What does this entail?
Okay, so essentially, the people that went to the United States last year, like the fellows or the Fulbrighters, they come together and they dialogue about, again, everything from how do you ride a subway in New York to what are some of the issues that you're going to face when you're there. You know, some of them are there for six weeks, part of the fellows, but a Fulbrighter, for example, might go to study and do research at an academic level, and he'll be there for 2 years. So what are some of the experiences they can expect? How do they take advantage of, for example, when they return? We have access, Pujatura and her other fellows will be able to access funding for their new projects, their new ideas. They will be able to link with people from Nigeria and Kenya and all the other countries to do regional integration projects, for example. So the orientation is a full day of dialogue where they can really brainstorm ideas. What do they expect to get out of their U.S. experience, and what are our expectations, the country's expectations for them when they return.
Okay. Ladies, as we wrap up from each of you, could you please, remind us as to why, should Namibia, the Namibian youth engage in a program like this and why it's very beneficial for his or her future?
Well, I'm so glad you asked, because one of the things that we are going to experience come probably October, November, is we're going to double the number of fellows that we want to send to the United States next year. So I really want to encourage applicants, Namibians, 25 to 35, approximate age, to start thinking now about what they want to put in their essay when they do apply in October or November. How do they innovate in their country, in their community, in their school? What are they doing that might make them a good applicant and a good fellow for next year? And also for Fulbrighters. We have a lot of scholarly opportunities for people who want to do research. And I really just encourage people to apply and put themselves out there a little bit.
From your side, Pujatura?
I would like to highlight my experience in applying. I think in 2013, I started the application process, but I only filled in my name, and the essays were so overwhelming. So as Priscilla just said, the more applicants we have, the more slots we can get. So we have the chance of actually doubling the number if more Africans can actually, Namibians rather, can apply. Also, I just want to highlight that Namibia currently has a very good political climate or landscape, and if that will enable anybody participating in YALI to actually have a good impact on society. I think our current government is very, very receptive to change, transformative leadership. I think Namibia is one of those countries that can attest to good leadership, leadership transformation. So going on a program like this will only mean that you will actually come and have an impact back home because you have the support from government.
Last question. Before we do go, sometimes when applying, are there any funds involved? Because sometimes that can hold a person back. You're like, perhaps the money's involved is a bit too much for my pocket. Or what? Are there any funds involved in applying?
That's a very good question, and it's absolutely free. And anyone who doesn't have access, it's an online application. So anybody who doesn't have access can go into any of our American corners in Walvis Bay, in Keetmanshoop, in the north, in Ongwadiva, or come into the American Cultural Center. We actually have classes where we will show you. Some people are just intimidated, like Pujatura mentioned, about the application, the essay. How do you formulate an essay? Because it's a very simple question. What we want to know is, what are the challenges in your community, and how are you addressing them?
Right. Okay, ladies, it was really nice having you. Thank you for speaking to us this morning. That was Priscilla Hernandez, PR, that is from the at the U.S. Embassy, and also we had Kaveterua, a YALI participant, sharing with us. Yes, we will be back after the break.